Right, so we are joined now by Will and Brett from a brand new band called The Tears. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Thanks a lot for taking your time with us.
Yeah, a bit hot actually, but you know.
You're a bit hot?
Yeah.
Do you want to swap with Will and sit in the shade?
No, I'm alright. I'm thinking of getting out my Union Jack handkerchief and putting it on my head any second now.
That would be very festival-like.
Yeah,
I think
it would.
a very good move.
Rolling up my trouser sleeves, you know what I mean?
I was always wondering why you guys don't do shorts more often, because you're a typical shorts sort of band.
I've got absolutely delightful legs, and
you should share them with the world.
Well, I think it should be made illegal, men wearing shorts.
Especially men performing music.
It should be like a felony or something like that, or one of those kind of minor laws or whatever. Because men shouldn't be allowed to wear shorts, because it's just not, you know.
It's not right.
It's just disgusting.
And on that topic, there's also been a bit of a revival on the sort of Speedo front, because that was obviously in the early 80s, our fathers, mine at least, I'm sharing now, had very tight shorts.
It's a nice image.
And it's coming back again in fashion, which is horrible.
There's nothing like kind of being able to make out the outline of a man's genitalia through his trousers, is there?
Right, yeah.
It's not right.
No. Especially when they're kind of like, you know, they get wet and they go see-through, you know what I mean? Kind of white Speedos.
Speedos.
Yeah,
especially when they're kind of over 60 and they're German as well. Yeah.
German men over 16 see-through Speedos.
Yeah. Doesn't get much better than that, does it?
No, it doesn't.
How was Glastonbury? You played on the John Peel stage. How was that?
Yeah, it's good, yeah.
Yeah?
It's good.
It's great. Muddy.
It was muddy, always bad weather.
Really bad weather, but the gig itself was really good.
Well, is Glastonbury a bit special then? Is that for us Scandinavians, Roskilde is sort of a special festival? Is that the similar thing?
It's the sort of it's the Roskilde of Britain sort of thing. You know, it's like, as far as I'm concerned, there's three great festivals: Roskilde, Glastonbury, and Benicassim in Spain, and they're like pretty special actually.
Benicassim's got the swimming pool in the backstage.
That's the thing. There's always a swimming pool backstage, but. To be honest, I wouldn't want to get in there. Do you know what I mean? It's a load of kind of
Speedos.
A load of musicians have been using it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
filthy.
God knows what's in
it's
there.
Probably kind of if they did a urine test or something in there, probably come out highly positive urine test.
So you're fine with Roskilde not having a swimming pool?
I much prefer it. I much prefer festivals not to have swimming pools.
So 1st of July today. It's a bit of a historical date. We were talking before. Exactly 10 years ago, you guys played with Suede in the Green Tent, which was a bit of a classic gig in my eyes. Any other fond Roskilde memories?
Well, there was that one. That was the first time we played with Suede, and that was kind of like, there was something really special about that night, and lots of people kind of remember it, and lots of people remind me of it and say, God, I saw you at that night in the Green Tent in '95, and that was really special. It was, actually. Well, we did that thing a couple of years ago in '99 when we played 3 stages. Which was quite fun, and we had that Wheel of Fortune thing
with all the B-sides.
With the B-sides on it, yeah. Loads of songs we haven't played for years, and I mean, it's always fun here, you know.
Yeah. And then it's 1st of July. Also, I read on a website that it was exactly 11 years ago that the legal process with Bernard leaving Suede was also the 1st of July. So another anniversary. And now obviously.
Well, how lovely.
Yeah.
Let's celebrate that.
Yeah, we'll have a nice glass of champagne later to celebrate that one.
Now, obviously, you guys are back together now. So, who made the first move?
Well, I called Bernard up. Really, it's simple as that. But I think we've both been sort of, kind of, I suppose, you know, caught in each other a bit in the press and stuff. You know, talking about the possibility of working together again. So, I called him up, and I sort of thought, yeah, it'll probably be. He probably won't tell me to. Where to go, you know.
And he didn't?
No, he didn't, you know. It's kind of like we went out and had a drink and stuff and just talked about making a record. And
so why was it time now? Was it just the sort of healing of time gone by?
It's like, you know, like 10 years after the event, I think if you've still got real problems with each other, then there's something really badly wrong. And it's like, you know, I think 10 years changes a lot in anyone, you know. And 10 years ago, we were fell out quite badly, and for whatever reasons, and then it just seemed like the right thing to do. I'd always liked working with Bernard, always found what he did really inspiring, and gave him a call. I think there's some things that are more important than your own pride. There's some things in life that are more important to find out, you know. Some real sort of like, you know, pivotal, life-changing things that you shouldn't worry about whether you're gonna, you know, feel like a tit if you find them out, you know.
So what was the reason that you got Will and these guys in and created a new band instead of sort of getting Bernard in with Suede?
Well, Will's an interview specialist. He doesn't actually play any instruments or anything like that.
He's very good.
Yeah, he's like a professional interviewee.
Yeah,
that we hired from an agency.
From a job agency.
Yeah. He's going to later tell you his after dinner story involving Henry Kissinger and Tom Cruise.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Actually,
How long have you got?
we're done with you now, Brett. So thanks for coming along.
Well,
so Will.
Oh, not the Kissinger story.
I'm just going to do a striptease a second now.
Yeah, the weather is really.
Yeah, you carry on without me. It's too bloody hot here.
So Will.
Yeah.
What's the live experience like? How has it been? How the new songs sort of how they're taking shape live?
I think we did about 3 shows before Christmas, and then we did a short short British tour in February time. I think around that time in mid-February it really started. Something happened, and it really sort of started to develop live, and the band started gelling properly and stuff. And now it's kind of every gig. I don't know. It feels like we're kind of getting better every gig, really. And it's just a lot, more and more energy each time, I think.
Are the songs changing a lot when you play them live?
I don't know. I don't know if they're changing so much. It just sort of.
They're getting more mad, aren't they?
Getting a bit more insane.
Every night we play something, it just gets a bit nuttier, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it's weird because it's a new band. But you can actually see it change in every gig. I've never really noticed that before. I mean, when I was in Suede or whatever, you couldn't actually perceive the change.
Mm.
But our first gig was like in December last year. Our first Tears gig ever, and so that's only 7 months ago, something like that.
Mm.
It does change quite a lot, but like any new band, we're still learning. It's still forming.
Yeah.
The whole thing is still developing. It's not like the final statement, and the album isn't really the final statement on the band either. We're very much looking forward to the next record.
So was it like being sort of a veteran in the business, but then having a brand new, being a beginner again? Is that a good thing, or do you have to go through sort of all the?
I think it's a very exciting thing. I think it's. I'm kind of really proud of myself that I've done that, and I think sort of more people should do it.
Mm.
I think there's too many bands that just go on far too long and kind of don't seem like they're particularly interested in doing anything except paying off their mortgages anymore. And I think it's really important to be doing it for the right reasons, and this is what I'm personally doing here. It would have been very easy for me to have stayed in Suede and just had sort of like been comfortable, and I kind of wanted to do something else. Well, I wasn't feeling inspired, so here we are.
They say you should do something every day that scares you, and maybe.
I definitely think that's a good idea. Yeah.
So what?
Here we are.
Here we are. In this very scary situation, talking about speedos.
Yeah, I know.
But you're a pro though, so you can handle it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
He's booked in for Parkinson later.
Oh really?
And he's doing the Jay Leno show. He's been flown to LA to do the Jay Leno show.
Right. I do a lot of ghost interviews as well for Hollywood stars. Yeah. Julia Roberts.
It's like a
jolly.
very loud drum noise. What was going to say? I was going to say.
You didn't want that noise going on while you were doing an interview?
We ordered it, especially.
Oh, great! Yeah.
They're consultants as well. They're not an actual band.
Why wouldn't you want the sound of someone, sound checking a drum when you're trying to?
It's superb.
It's right when your audience is trying to listen to you.
Yeah, no, it's perfect when you got really stupid questions and you can hide them in the noise of drums.
Yeah.
And here's another one. Was there a lot of pressure on when? Because obviously yourself and Bernard Brett has been compared to many great songwriters. Your work has been hailed as classics. Was there a lot of pressure on when you were getting back together now?
Well, I mean, we're aware that people were listening, and I think that's the only pressure you need, really. If you kind of like, you can't, it's not really about sort of. It's more about not letting people down, really. There's a lot of, we've got a lot of people that love the music and love what we've done in the past, and one of the main criteria for doing this was that it wasn't going to see the light of day unless we absolutely loved it. We took a long time writing the record and making sure the record was as good as it could be.
Are we okay with sound? Do we need to? Yeah, we need.
Do it like that. All right.
So sometimes people get into bands because they're mates, and then you want to start playing music. And some bands get started because you happen to play the right instrument and you like the same music. How important do you think it is to be friends in a band? What do you think, Will?
Well, yeah. I mean, I was friends with Bernard and Nathan, the bass player, before I got involved with the Tears, because we all lived fairly close to each other. So it's kind of, you know, they were quite a big part of my social life anyway. So it's kind of a natural extension of that, really. And yeah, we all get on great. I think it's really important, actually. Yeah.
What do you think, Red? It's sort of arranged marriages can work in certain parts of the world where you're forced to spend a lot of time together. Do you think it's better to be friends from the beginning, or?
I think that when you make music together, you know, you kind of like you become friends like that. It's like making music is kind of quite a personal thing, and you go through a lot, and you know, you get to know people really well, and you know, everyone at the end of the day is a decent human being, unless they're a complete arsehole. You know what I mean? And like, I didn't know Will and Nathan and Mako before this whole experience. Now I know them really well, and you know, we get on fine. It's cool. But you know, you spend such a lot of time sitting around dressing rooms and kind of like bored out of your skull on tour buses and stuff like that, that you know, you get to know people pretty well.
Pretty quickly
nice.
As well, yeah.
And is that a good thing, or can
I think it's good, yeah. I mean, obviously it goes beyond a certain point sometimes, you know. The other day we were on a 4.5-hour coach journey from Helsinki to the north of Finland, and Nathan, the bass player, had run out of marijuana, and he was going slightly insane, and started
singing Paul McCartney bass lines very loudly.
You kind of had to be there, but it was like one of those points where you're thinking, shut up.
Yeah. You wouldn't want it to be there. Really.
Finland bus Paul McCartney bass line. I can sort of get it.
He's a kind of massive fan of the Beatles, you see, and it's like.
And not much else really.
Yeah, and he just, you know, he was just whatever. You had to be there. It was horrific.
It was.
Who's in control of the music in the tour bus then? Who's got who's the sort of main DJ of the band?
We got this ritual where we go on stage to a couple of songs. We go on stage to an ABC song, and a Human League song.
Okay.
So that's kind of one of our little rituals. We have a little iPod in the backstage sort of thing. But we normally have it on shuffle, which is quite fun.
Yeah.
So there's like 10, 20 million albums sort of like on shuffle, which is always
quite good. What do you think about the music climate now? Are you loving the Crazy Frog?
I'm only human, of course.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say I prefer him to Coldplay, actually. A big contribution.
I think they're both absolutely equal. They're both absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
Coldplay and Crazy Frog?
Yeah, they're absolutely brilliant, both of them. I just can't choose between them.
Yeah.
But do you think, like, when your record label talks to you about sort of making ringtones about your music, are you precious about it, or do you think it's just another good platform to sort of for people to enjoy your melodies?
I don't know if the record company actually.
You haven't actually thought about ringtones. That's a good idea.
I don't know. It actually doesn't really bother me, to be honest. It's like one of those sort of like funny little kind of peripheral things to do with the music business. It doesn't really affect. It doesn't sort of like almost. It doesn't corrupt your art at all. You know. I think there's something to be said. Yeah, if you write a catchy melody, then there's something to be said for it kind of working on a sort of monophonic, poly thingy sound. And who's that in the background? Is that, what's his name? Snoop Doggy Dogg.
Oh, is it?
Is it?
Oh, I believe so. Are you friends with the dog?
I thought I recognised that song. Yeah, I quite like him. Yeah, it's quite good.
Apparently, he shows porn films on the backdrop.
Great.
He was in Sweden playing, and there was a big debate whether that was right or wrong to show porn.
Whether it's right or wrong.
Show porn on the stage.
Morally.
Yeah.
I'm sure it works in terms of, you know,
popularity,
getting the audience in.
I'm sure it probably works in Sweden.
Yeah.
Prejudice. Did you have any visuals to your